Gina Miller is back. As you remember, Miller was the woman who forced Her Majesty's government to legally get Parliament involved with Brexit, despite Parliament giving that responsibility to the public via a referendum. This time, she wants to take Boris Johnson to court if he becomes Prime Minister. Yep, right. The campaigner and businesswoman Gina Miller wants to launch immediate legal action to prevent Boris Johnson from delivering a no-deal Brexit. Absolutely astonishing. The level of ignorance and arrogance is hilarious. Miller said that she and her legal team were absolutely ready to go to prevent what she said would be an outrageous attempt to bypass Parliament, the very institution that Brexiteers said they wanted to restore powers to when they campaigned to leave the EU in the June of 2016. No dear, Brexiteers wanted our Parliament to be sovereign overall when it comes to everyday laws. But on the point of the leave vote, Parliament gave that power to the people, and we already decided. Parliament is sovereign because the people are sovereign. But the funniest thing about this situation is her letter and the arrogant language that she's used.
I wonder if we might just have a look. I mean, we're thankfully grateful to you for giving us a look at the letter that you've sent to Boris Johnson. I wonder if we just take a look at one line of it here. We request that you undertake not to advise Her Majesty the Queen, should you become Prime Minister, to prorogue Parliament without first providing 7 days' notice to our client. Don't go and see the Queen if you are Prime Minister and prorogue Parliament. I mean, there will be people watching this morning going, who on earth do you think you are, writing a letter like that to the man who most likely will be the next Prime Minister?
Well, each of us in a democracy, each of us have the right as a citizen to exercise our power, our legitimate questions of the courts. And that's what I did the first time.
It's quite something to write a letter to a former Foreign Secretary and tell him, you know, if you become Prime Minister, you know, advise our client a week in advance if you're going to go and see the Queen.
Well, paying lip service to parliamentary democracy is one thing, but you actually have to actively defend it. And that's what this case and my legal team and I would be doing, is actively defending parliamentary sovereignty, because, as I said, it is the cornerstone of our constitution. And to abuse that, nobody is above the law. You can be a prime minister, you can be, whatever your position, I would argue, that no one is above the law.
I mean, the one thing that you're not, of course, is an elected representative. Yeah. Have you been speaking to, I mean, amongst others, Sir John Major, obviously up in the upper house now, but have you been speaking to John Major? Have you been speaking to any Conservative MPs?
No, I've had no conversations. This is, as I said, when this question was being mooted, or the prorogation question was being mooted.
Yes, citizens are the bosses of politicians. But individual citizens shouldn't bully or extort politicians. Who are you to ignore everyone else's wishes? Secondly, she says that she cares about parliamentarians' rights to have a say. Yet she hasn't even talked to any of them about this. She's basically starting an undemocratic move against the whole system on her own with no mandate from the nation. You know what I think? I think she's just feeling left out because John Major has already said this and said that he would do the same last week. Last week, the former Tory Prime Minister, Sir John Major, said that he would be willing to go to court to seek a judicial review to stop Johnson proroguing Parliament. I served in Parliament for over 20 years. I'm very proud to have done so, said Major. I have huge admiration for our parliamentary traditions. Well, if John Major is doing something, you've got to follow it, right? I think Priti Patel put this perfectly.
Well, look, I think first of all, the issue is that it's now down to members of Parliament and a new government to actually take action, not for third parties by going through the courts. And I think that's exactly how it should have been previously as well, after 2016. You know, after the referendum, the government was very clear back then that Brexit meant Brexit and that we were going to leave the EU. Instead, we had a range of third-party anti-Brexit organisations and positions that chose to go to the court to derail, basically, the whole Brexit delivery, and also to tie the hands of politicians, the government and Parliament. That is simply not acceptable. And quite frankly, the British public are sick to death of this. They want to see a government now with renewed conviction get out there and do exactly what it said it will do, which is now to deliver Brexit.
But the question is, who is Gina Miller and what's the truth behind her anti-Brexit campaign? On her firm's website, it suggests that she has 3 degrees in marketing, human resources management and law. In truth, Gina Miller does not have a law degree. She did study for one at the University of East London, but left before sitting her final exams. When asked about this, her lawyers told the Mail that she was unaware of the false claim that was displayed on the website and said that this was a responsibility and a mistake of a freelance copywriter. Also, one important element in this is her own financial expertise. An investigation of the investment firm SCM Private shows that it has run up large losses since she and Alan Miller founded it in 2009. It has yet to register an annual profit and has made total operating losses of more than £2.3 million. In a report for her charity, the True and Fair Foundation in 2015, she rebuked other charities for financial inefficiency, claiming that 1,000 organizations spent less than half of their income on good works. Inevitably, many of them were quite angry about these findings. The National Council for Voluntary Organizations said that the report willfully misrepresented the facts. More specifically, its Director of Public Policy attacked Miller, saying, for her, it seems self-promotion trumps accuracy. Even more damning, the Charity Commission described her report as flawed. Also, as City insiders point out, Miller is not a finance expert by trade, but a marketing woman. Indeed, finance wasn't her first choice of profession. Initially, she wanted to be a criminal barrister, but set up several marketing companies before moving into investment management. So this is the person we're dealing with, a self-proclaimed expert in finance and law, who in reality is just a bitter, angry activist. But what frustrates me even more is that she's using this platform to spread fears about Brexit. This is why Boris Johnson had the best response to her.
And then what you do, of course, in order to get ready for that deal, to encourage our friends and partners to see the sense of that deal, you prepare to come out without a deal. That's a sensible thing. Any business person does that. And this is a great country, isn't it? We can do it. We can get ready for a no-deal Brexit. Of course we can. Of course, there are people who say that the planes won't fly and there won't be any drinking water and there won't be adequate supplies of glucose and milk solids and whey to make the Mars bars on which the children of this country depend. I have to say, I've never seen anything so nonsensical in all my life. I saw someone in Tesco saying there wouldn't be Christmas dinner as a result of a no-deal Brexit. I mean, this is absolute nonsense. We're here in one of the great farming regions of the whole of Europe. We can supply Christmas dinner, can't we? We certainly can. And the planes will fly and there will be clean drinking water, whatever the deal we do. It will be a great deal, but whatever the deal we do, there will be clean drinking water and flying planes, and there will be sufficient supplies of glucose and milk solids and whey to make Mars bars, because where there's a will, there's a way, ladies and gentlemen, as in a gag that you knew was coming.
Make sure you spread the word by sharing this video. And if you want to support this channel, you can join our membership club. The link will be in the description as usual. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe and click on the notification bell next to it. And I'll see you tomorrow with a new video.